July 2, 1973. Brooklyn Federal Courthouse. The courtroom fills. Prosecutors shuffle papers. Federal agents scan the entrance. A judge waits on his bench. The defendant never arrives. Frank Matthews, America's biggest drug trafficker. $20 million in heroin and cocaine moving through 21 states. The only black gangster to circumvent the Italian mafia's iron grip on the French connection. Gone. With his girlfriend. With $20 million in cash. With a smirk the government would never forget. 52 years later, not a single confirmed sighting. Not one fingerprint. Not one photograph. Not one witness who would talk. The FBI offered a $20,000 reward. The highest bounty they'd issued since John Dillinger. They never collected it. Because Frank Matthews did what Pablo Escobar couldn't. What El Chapo failed to do twice. What every cartel kingpin in history attempted and lost. He vanished into a question mark. And the question isn't where he went. It's how a black kid from Durham with a 7th grade education outsmarted the most powerful surveillance state ever built. February 13, 1944. Durham, North Carolina. A child is born to a family that won't survive his 4th birthday. His mother dies. His aunt raises him. The streets shape him. Frank Larry Matthews, nicknamed Pee-wee. Small in stature, enormous in ambition. At 14, he's stealing chickens from local farms. Gets caught. Assaults the farmer with a brick. Spends a year in the Raleigh State Reformatory for boys. No one is calculating his future. No one sees the pattern forming. He drops out of school in 7th grade, moves to Philadelphia, becomes a numbers runner. Small time, invisible, learning. Numbers running is the academy, the university of the streets. You learn who moves money, who protects territories, who the real bosses are. Matthews learns fast. By 1965, at 21 years old, he's done with the numbers game. He wants the heroin trade. There's just one problem. In America in 1965, every kilogram of heroin entering the country moves through one network, the Italian mafia's French connection. Turkish poppies, Marseille laboratories, Corsican smugglers, New York distribution, the Gambinos, the 5 families, a closed system. Matthews approaches them, asks for entry, wants to work within their structure. They reject him. Not because he's unqualified, because he's black. The mafia doesn't partner with black dealers. They use them. Sell to them at markup, keep them downstream, keep them desperate, keep them controlled. Matthews doesn't accept the rejection. He finds another door. Through a Harlem numbers operator named Spanish Raymond, Matthews gets introduced to Rolando Gonzalez Nuez, a Cuban cocaine supplier, a man with direct connections to Caracas, Venezuela. Gonzalez is about to flee the United States to avoid indictment. Before he goes, he sells Matthews 1 kilogram of cocaine for $20,000 and promises more. That handshake changes American drug trafficking forever, because Matthews doesn't just want to be a dealer, he wants to own the entire supply chain. By 1968, Matthews controls Brooklyn, not a neighborhood. He operates 2 massive drug mills, one at 925 Prospect Place, nicknamed the Ponderosa, the other at 101 East 56th Street, called the OK Coral. These aren't back alley operations, they're fortresses. Steel-reinforced walls, concrete barriers, armed guards with automatic weapons. Industrial-scale cutting, packaging, distribution. According to the DEA, Matthews controls the cutting, packaging, and sale of heroin in every major East Coast city. Every major city: Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, Atlanta, all the way to Alabama and Missouri. He's moving 100 to 150 kilograms of heroin into New York annually, making $250,000 per deal. In cash by 1972, Matthews personally earns an estimated $10 million, equivalent to $75 million today, and he's doing it without the mafia. That's the part they can't stomach. Matthews isn't working for them. He's competing with them, cutting them out, going direct to Venezuela, to the Corsicans in Marseille, to the sources they thought they monopolized. He builds a mansion on Staten Island, in Todd Hill, the Mafia enclave, directly across the street from Paul Castellano, a boss of the Gambino crime family. That's not an accident. That's a statement. Matthews is flaunting wealth in their territory, living like royalty, paying airline stewardesses $1,000 a month to smuggle heroin in their flight bags to airport lockers. laundering millions through Las Vegas casinos at 15 to 18% fees. And in 1971, he does something unprecedented. He organizes a summit in Atlanta, an African American and Hispanic drug dealers convention. The topic: how to permanently break the Italian mafia's control of heroin importation. Not hide from them, not negotiate with them, break them. A year later, he holds another summit in Las Vegas, at the Sands Hotel. During the Muhammad Ali vs. Jerry Quarry rematch, the government is starting to notice. They wiretap his phones, they track his movements, they build a case. But Matthews is already 3 moves ahead. Because he's not interested in power for its own sake. He's interested in freedom. And he knows something the authorities don't understand yet. The system can't hold what it can't define. December 1972. Federal prosecutors in Brooklyn indict Matthews for attempting to sell 40 pounds of cocaine in Miami. 40 pounds. A fraction of his real operation. A test case. The government thinks they're setting a trap. January 1973. DEA agents arrest Matthews at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. Tax evasion. Conspiracy to distribute heroin and cocaine. His bail is set at $5 million. The highest in American history at the time. Matthews doesn't panic. His lawyer negotiates. Bail drops to $325,000. Matthews posts it. Walks free the same day. The prosecution is confident they've frozen his assets, seized properties, cut off his networks. They think he's cornered. They schedule his hearing for July 2, 1973. Matthews has other 26, 1973. 6 days before the hearing, Frank Matthews and his 19-year-old girlfriend, Cheryl Denise Brown, board a flight. Destination unknown. July 2nd arrives. The courtroom waits. Matthews never appears. Investigators descend on his Staten Island mansion. His wife and 3 sons are still there, confused, abandoned. But Matthews is gone. And so is $20 million in cash, not transferred through banks, not wired overseas, not traced through shell companies. Physical currency, vanished. The FBI launches one of the largest manhunts in American history. Interpol gets involved. Informants are pressured. Associates are interrogated. Every lead is pursued. Nothing. Some claim he fled to Venezuela with Spanish raiment. Others say the Genovese family lured him to the Bahamas and killed him to prevent him from turning state's witness. Some believe he's in Africa. Some think he never left the United States. Former U.S. Marshal Mike Pitsey, who spent years hunting Matthews, said it plainly. It's as if he dropped off the face of the earth. No fingerprints. No sightings. No confirmed contact with family members. No financial trail, no body. The reward remains unclaimed. Matthews leaves behind 18 members of his organization who are arrested in 1975. Most serve time. Most cooperate. Most reveal pieces of the operation. But none of them know where he went. Because Matthews understood something fundamental. You can't surveil what doesn't leave traces. You can't arrest what doesn't exist on paper. You can't extradite a ghost. The government thought they were fighting a drug dealer. They weren't. They were fighting an idea. The idea that the system's control is an illusion. That authority only extends as far as compliance. That power can be bypassed, not confronted. Matthews didn't try to defeat the DEA. He didn't bribe judges or assassinate prosecutors. He didn't build cartels or wage turf wars. He simply stopped playing. The mafia tried to kill competition. Matthews ignored them and built his own pipeline. The government tried to freeze his assets. Matthews operated in cash. The legal system tried to incarcerate him. Matthews walked out before the cell door closed. And when the trap finally tightened, he didn't fight it. He evaporated. That's what makes him different. Escobar fought until they shot him on a rooftop. El Chapo tunneled out of prison only to get recaptured. Every cartel leader in history has tried to maintain their empire from behind bars or in exile. Matthews just left. Took the money. Took the girl. Disappeared. And in doing so, he proved something the government still won't admit. Their entire system relies on people who stay visible. Who leave trails. Who believe they're too powerful to run. Matthews was never powerful, he was invisible. And invisibility is undefeatable. The mythology around Frank Matthews has grown in the decades since his disappearance. Some say he's dead, murdered by rivals, buried in an unmarked grave. Some say he's alive, living under a false identity in a small town. a quiet retiree no one recognizes. Ron Chapisic, author of Black Caesar, The Rise and Disappearance of Frank Matthews Kingpin, spent 5 years researching him, interviewed associates, reviewed DEA files, traced rumors across continents. His conclusion? The mystery may never be solved. Because Matthews didn't just vanish physically, he vanished structurally. There's no financial forensics to follow, no digital footprint to trace, no CCTV footage to analyze, no metadata to decrypt. In 1973, surveillance was primitive. Cash was untraceable. Passports could be forged easily. A man with $20 million and advance warning could buy a new identity and disappear forever. The DA ranks Matthews as one of the top 10 drug traffickers in U.S. history. Not because of the volume he moved, but because of the precedent he set. He proved that black dealers didn't need the mafia, that decentralized networks could outcompete monopolies. That authority is only as strong as its ability to enforce compliance. After Matthews vanished, black drug organizations exploded across America. Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, the rise of crack in the 80s. The Bloods and Crips, BMF. None of them succeeded like Matthews. Most ended up dead or in prison. But they all learned from his blueprint: control the supply, avoid the middleman, and never, ever believe the government when they say you're cornered. 2. Today, the case file remains open. Technically, Frank Matthews is still a wanted fugitive. He'd be 80 years old now, if he's alive. The $20,000 reward? Still active, still unclaimed. The girlfriend, Cheryl Denise Brown, never found, no records. No confirmed identity beyond that name. The $20 million. Never recovered, never traced, never laundered into any known financial system. 3 lives erased from history, leaving behind only questions. The uncomfortable truth is this: the government failed. Not because they didn't try. They deployed every tool, every resource, every informant, every international connection. But they failed because Frank Matthews understood the game better than they did. He knew that the system's strength is also its weakness. Surveillance requires targets. Prosecution requires defendants. Imprisonment requires bodies. Eliminate the target, and the system has nothing to surveil. Eliminate the defendant, and the courts have no one to prosecute. Eliminate the body, and the prison cell stays empty. Matthews didn't defeat the United States government through violence or corruption. He defeated them through absence. And that absence haunts them still. Because every drug lord since has tried to replicate it. Every cartel leader has studied his escape. Every trafficker has wondered if Matthews did it. The answer is simple. Most people want to win. They want recognition, legacy, power. Matthews just wanted to disappear, and in the end, disappearance is the only victory that lasts. So where is Frank Matthews? Dead in the Bahamas, murdered by the Genovese family. Living under an assumed name in Venezuela. Quietly retired in a small American town, unrecognized by neighbors who have no idea who he once was. The truth is, it doesn't matter. Because Frank Matthews stopped being a person the day he walked out of that courtroom. He became a question. A legend. A ghost story told in DA briefing rooms and federal prisons. He became proof that even in the most surveilled, most controlled, most powerful nation on earth, if you understand the system better than it understands itself, you can simply walk away. And 52 years later, no one has found the door he used.